Admissibility. We're going to go over this later, but when you're looking at schools, how admissible are you? What is their average GPA of students? How many AP courses and test scores do they normally get with their incoming first year students? What are the average SAT, ACT scores? Is it test optional, especially now with COVID? Is it a holistic review, meaning that they don't put a lot of weight on the testing? All of these things are things that you're going to want to know. You also have open enrollment. Mostly open enrollment is going to be our community college system. So they will take you as long as you show up with your diploma from high school and or a GED, you're accepted. So that's an option for you as well. Rolling admissions. So when we start talking about admissions and deadlines, rolling means you can submit your application anytime. Sometimes they do have some sort of hard deadline, maybe like April 1st, but it's usually much later. But really what rolling admissions means is that their applications review is ongoing. So if there is an application deadline for April 1st at a school that says that they're rolling admissions, if they get your application on December 1st, they might accept you and you might get your letter back on December 14th. This is really important for you to understand, especially when you start putting in your applications and talking to other friends. So if you only apply to schools that don't have rolling admissions, you know what that means? They have a hard deadline. Their deadline is January 1st. And then they have a hard release date. The release date is March 1st. So everyone has to submit by, January 1. And by May 1, everyone will get their decision on the same day. Now, a lot of times these are more competitive schools. So because of that, some of your friends might say, hey, I got into a school. Did you get into a school? I got into my school. Have you heard back from your school? And you might get really anxious and stressed out. Don't. They might have chosen some schools that have rolling admissions. And so they're going to hear back in the order of when their application was received. They're not waiting until one day to look at all the applications. So just keep that in mind so you can kind of relax when these decisions start coming out, and you may or may not hear back from certain schools. Again, some schools are rolling. They actually will accept students as they get their application, or some students or some schools are kind of a closed admission cycle. So they have a hard deadline of when you have to submit, and then they have a release date. And so you just got to wait. And so in lesson 10, where it's like swipe right for the school that you like, there's a link under helpful links that says what to do while you're waiting. And I give you a whole bunch of self-care tips to do that. All right, so I know some of you are considering early decision or early action. So early decision is binding. If you apply early decision, if you get accepted and the financial aid is really good, you have to go. And on top of that, you have to withdraw all your other applications. So for those of you who are like, oh, I want to do early decision because I want to know early and I want to just at least have an option, that will be your option if you get in. Okay. Now, if you get into that particular school, you will never know if you got into any other school because you have to withdraw your application. Early decision should only be for students who are 100% sure that that is their top choice. Like you have been dreaming about this school. This school has everything that you want and need. Maybe you have a sibling that goes to this school and you're like, I just want to be back with my sibling. Whatever it is, you only want to do early decision ED if you are 100%, 1000% sure that that is the place that you want to call home. Now, early decision is really cool because if you decide to do early decision, you have a couple of options. You either get accepted and woohoo, you're done with the search. A lot of times you'll understand and know by the holiday season before the first of the year. Or you might get deferred. And deferred means that they're going to say, hey, we can't take you right now, but we're going to move you into the next round, the regular decision round. So that's an option too if you just maybe want 2 chances to possibly get in. The third one is that you get denied and then you have to take that particular school off. If you decide to do early decision or early action, which I'll talk about in a second, you should still continue to prepare applications while you're waiting for the decision. Main reason being is a lot of times, like I said, you'll hear back right before the holidays. And so most of the schools' deadlines are going to be around January 1 to January 15th. If you pause on all your applications until you hear back, you're probably going to have between 2 and 4 weeks to finish everything else. I know it might feel like a waste of time, but it's just not wise. And you want to enjoy this process, right? So every time I've advised students who are early decision or early action, I always say, look, we're just going to keep chugging and we're going to keep going because we want to make sure that you're prepared to submit applications if you need to. Early action, very different than early decision. You can apply to a few early action. That's something I should have said about early decision. I apologize. You can only apply to one early decision school. You can apply to multiple early action schools. It's non-binding, meaning if you get in, that's great. And early action is, again, you can keep applying to other places once you learn your fate about that particular school. So this is really, really important when you're thinking about, is this for me or is this not for me? Early action, you still get to understand your decision a little bit earlier, but you have a little bit more flexibility. With early decision, I do want to let you know, last thing, is that if you get in, usually you have 30 days to deposit. So if you're doing early decision or early action and you want to go ahead and take your place, just make sure that you and your family are aware of the deposit, or you ask for a deposit waiver if your family can afford it. So just make sure that you know with early decision, if you get in, usually you have about, I've actually seen some say 10 days. So I would say 10 to 30 days to secure your spot. And remember, since it's binding, unless the financial aid package is not good, you kind of have to go. So just be prepared to make that deposit to hold your place on campus for the next year.